Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome back to Runers. So, last episode was interesting, and realistically, I don't want to make a repeat performance of that kind of business. Honestly, I've been doing a lot of weird things lately, and I would very much like to not make repeat performances of kind of what I was doing there. So, in that case, it was fascinating. It was a weird run, and it was a unique thing, and honestly, I could have gamed the system better and truly been careful with it, more or less just making sure that I have 3 to 4 supernovas for every room that I went into. But at the same time, that would make it boring, and why not use a cheat code as much as you possibly can before it inevitably gets cut out of the system. So in this case, good enough. So, I have to say, I enjoyed it. It had its weird limitations, and I mean, go figure, it's not an officially designed system. So why would it actually have, you know, any level of real design to it? It was completely unintentional on their part. So, as much as I would like to have some kind of weird abusable, you know, combo that makes it so you have infinite cooldown reduction, that would end up making the game boring, because, well, obviously it would be broken as all get out, and it would generally be the thing that you want to go after. So for those of you that do want to try that before it gets patched out of the game, I'd highly recommend to either not patch the game for a little while, or go try it immediately, because I'll admit, like a stinking dirty rat, I actually reported the bug on the Steam forums for Runers, because honestly, I do feel like helping out the developers. And you know what, maybe they'll be nice and never fix it. I don't know. It's one of those where it's like, I feel like I shouldn't get rid of bugs that could be potentially really fun, but at the same time, I am, or at least I have worked as a QA tester in the past, and I know how frustrating it is to have bugs in your game, especially semi-game-breaking ones. So, I don't know, it just felt like it would go against my nature to do it any other way. Yeah, that rat was breaking the rock for me. I actually didn't realize that rats would break destructibles. I guess I've seen it happen, but it's rare for enemies to actually hit destructibles along the way here. I have to be careful. Unfortunately, we have extremely limited movement, all the destructibles in the area, and honestly, it's a smaller level than most, and it's got, you know, that completely obnoxious side area over there. Okay, so all we have left is the floating brain. Fortunately, hitting singular targets with cast bolt a little bit harder. At least we've got the elf perk running for us, or the elf race, class, whatever you want to call it. We got that going for us, so it does, you know, boost our accuracy purely because it does, you know, tighten up the angle of fire. Now we've got air, we've got speed, neither of which I'm terribly excited about. That is not what I wanted to happen. Unfortunately, sometimes sometimes when I use the Crusader, I go like huge distances, and other times I only go very short periods, so honestly, I think I should use Crusader as more of an escape mechanism than anything else. Anyway, let's pick up the heart while we're here. And we're getting pretty much nothing for runes. We've got air, we've got speed, and we've got mind. And if I had 2 mind, I would not hesitate to make a double mind combo. It's got great strike through. It's a little hard to aim, but at the same time, really all we need right now is just some kind of attack boost. By the way, in the comments, some of you have... Oh, there we go. Some of you have actually called me out for not saving my shock runes ever, because I keep, you know, trying to make shock rune related spells with them, and I will admit, that's entirely true. I would very much like to... I generally prioritize, you know, making damage related spells before making anything else, and I do actually prioritize, to a larger degree, buffing up my spells, especially the ones that I know I'm going to be using for an entire run, because it's like, well, you know what, if I max them out, then I will have plenty of shock runes to use on whatever. Problem is, usually my builds involve the excessive use of shock runes. So, for this run, and probably the next 1 or 2 runs thereafter, I'm going to try and avoid using shock runes, unless I discover something new. Like, I discover an actual fun spell to use, and there are a couple of combos that have been suggested to me. Unfortunately, I've made the mistake of covering my notes with a folder window, and I'm going to have to Alt-Tab and quit out, well, not quit out of the game, but I'm going to have to Alt-Tab out of the game, or game window, essentially. Oh, shoot, I was not supposed to pick up that health there. I was not paying full attention to my actions. I'm actually going to have to stop playing if I'm going to be able to access my notes. Which, while obnoxious, is not the end of the world. At the very least, I can use my Crusader ability to cut at least some of the effort away. Let's back off. Now, I think if I take my hand off the cursor, the double Mind Spike will actually shoot closer. Now, as far as things go, unfortunately, if I want to use this spell, I'm pretty much going to be prevented from using Mindlessness, and that's a hard thing to do. It's pretty much I would actually... Ow. It's actually one of my favorite spells, purely because of the base utility on it. Oh, don't pick up all the health. That's dumb. But it's just one of the most useful spells in the game. Not because it's, like, hideously game-breaking, but surely because it really does make it so you don't need as many runes to have good spells. And it is pain to kill one singular dude if they're dodging. The one problem is we've kind of got this, like, this rectangle of influence that we can hit. The unfortunate part is if an enemy's kind of dodging away from it, it becomes very hard for... Hey, there's a shock rune. It becomes very hard for us to hit anybody with it. And I did say I wasn't going to use shock runes, but I was meaning to do White Lightning the previous run. And right now, I really do want to make White Lightning. Which I believe is shock, light, and... I don't think it's fire. No, that's a different spell. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's like, should I save runes? And honestly, I think part of my problem is I want to discover new combos, but at the same time, we are playing on, I believe we're playing on intermediate. I might have picked an easier difficulty. I wasn't exactly paying attention, but I think we're playing intermediate. Don't know how to check mid-run. I don't actually know if it's possible to check mid-run, but, well, okay. So, Class Energy is not going to be useful for us. Banshee Will is not going to be. Scavenger. More runes we got, the more combos we're going to make. And, you know, the more runes we're going to be able to buff without you guys getting sassy. Because honestly, you're right. I really do need to prioritize finding new combos. I guess it's one of those where I was just thinking to myself, it'd be easier if I just went with, what's this? Shrinkify. It works. I was thinking to myself, it'd be easier if I just, if I just did wimpy runs to discover new spells. But honestly, I think we're still at just a little bit over 100 spells left to discover. And it would be kind of awfully irresponsible of me to expect to go get all of those on wimpy runs. So I'd rather prioritize it here and there. And honestly, the main thing is I need to make new combos with... I don't even know who's around. There's him. There we go. Okay, cooldown reduction. Probably the best. Honestly, those were some pretty good choices there. So, except for the fact that I like cooldown reduction so much, I could have actually mulled over that one probably a lot more. If it wasn't there, it would have been a much harder choice. But as it stands, cooldown reduction was there, and I really like the ability to cast my spells quickly. I like being able to cast loads and loads of spells in a very short period of time. Maybe it's because I have terrible accuracy. Oh, that's an interesting point, actually. I find in video games, especially first-person shooters, my accuracy tends to be among the highest of all the people I play with. Yet, at the same time, for a game like this, it becomes more about spray and pray. But I guess that's largely because in a first-person shooter, the point is you need to take the other person out because their accuracy is fantastic. Where in this one, all enemies' accuracies are pretty worthless, and it more becomes a numbers game of can I take everybody out before they can take me out. And so the counterpoint is, ooh, what is this? Grizzly Strength. Nope, Soul Absorption. Thank you. Oh, that's gonna make worlds of difference. And we get health, and we get bullet size, entropy levels, or a double combiner. Well, we don't have any entropy runes, so I'm gonna go with bullet size, because currently going with boosting entropy runes would be, I don't know, it's unnecessary unless we specifically start using them. I'd rather just eventually get mindlessness, and yes, I've used 2 spells already, but at the same time, we have plenty of forward damage here. Like, actually, okay, Yeah, there's a reason why I went with Crusader this time, and it seems to largely be working for me. I'm going to do another loop around and try and take out that Hermit. Holy crap. I might actually try and do a no mindlessness run for this one, though, purely because it does actually make my life a lot easier having that sheer amount of strike through, because I guess the other thing I could do... No, that would be dumb. I was thinking it's like, it would be amazing to do... It would be amazing to do a strike-through run. Wisp Wrangler. I'm going to have to wait on it. The problem is we don't have particularly great single-target damage. We have amazing group damage. Like, we have amazing handling at taking out singular enemies. Singular enemies in groups. We have the great ability of taking out groups of enemies in fairly quick speed at medium range, which is nice. It's very much appreciated, but the problem is trying to go after that single Wisp Hunter is going to be a headache and a half with the current layout that we've got. So I'll probably eventually attempt it just because I don't take much damage from that run, but at the same time, that's a lot of swarmers. So there's a Hermit over here, and as much as I'd like to be able to go after him to reduce the buff, got slowed down by something. Well, let's just... I actually have no idea what hit me there. That is a lot of hearts. I'm going to have to leave the Dark Rune alone, if only because I can't get to it without picking up a heart, and I don't feel like wasting hearts now just to get a Dark Rune. So, what do we need? We need... I mentioned White Lightning, and I'm going to go back to it. I think White Lightning is probably going to be one of the best things we have, or we could get, because as much as I like the Mind Spike, it does a fair amount of damage, but there's a gaping hole in the area that it can hit, purely as a result of... Oh, he is escaping. Oh, he had a Fire Rune on him. Wonder why I didn't leave earlier. Weird. Maybe he was just escaping because he was the only enemy left and didn't want to die. I could respect that. Okay, so we've got a lot of skeletons, which is a concern, but actually not that big of one. Okay, it's mostly a concern because I need to lure the zombies away. There, perfect. We must have picked up a health there. Oh, I see. Every time that screen does that thing, that's because I got another 2 health. So, ideally, it would be really nice if I could actually get my hands on the level 2 version of that, because if we're getting 4 health per 50 kill, we are going to be one meaty master. Monster. I don't know. We could be a meaty master too, but that just sounds weird. So I'm going to try and avoid... Uh-oh. Level 2 light elemental. Sounds terrifying. Okay. Gonna try and avoid getting hit by her. Unfortunately, her spell bullet size is massive. And it doesn't help the fact that the... Okay, the bandit is somewhere. Or gone, actually. Weird. Okay, yeah, this is one of those levels where enemy bullet size is actually increased by a fair amount. I'm just gonna tank her at this point. Okay, we get a double combiner. We get a light rune. And a couple of hearts. Probably didn't need to pick up all of those, but we do have a lot sitting around. So, let's quickly go into the Runedex. Creatable spells, undiscovered. What can I make that looks fun? Actually, entropy, shock, mind. I don't have the entropy. Air, earth, entropy. I don't think I have the earth either. I wish it had like a little thing. Oh, shock, entropy, mind. Okay, what's this one do? Oh, right. Need to make the triple. This is suggested. It's called Soul Breach. Fires a large force that if it kills an enemy, rips their soul out of them and shatters it. Soul shards are created on the ground near the victim and died in increased stats if picked up. Both players and enemies can pick up... Oh, dear. That's a little bit on the concerning side. Does do stupid amounts of damage, though. So... Wow. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure how I want to handle that. Well, let's see what else I can make that is discovered. I have a lot of fire runes. I'd love to use them. What do we have? We could make Black Wind. Haven't actually featured that in a while. Nerve damage was interesting, but I think what we need is a good replacement for Chaos Bolt, or at least something to put it in the front. Expulsion's kind of interesting. Force Ballista. It's got great coolback. Spirit Sorcerer? No. Shadowgate? No. Mega Pressure? No. Shadow Vortex? I like Dark Scythe, but again, it's got a long cooldown, or at least a longer cooldown than I want to deal with. Blazing Dash. Now, there was a run suggestion. I'm not going to do it today, even though I could potentially with this one. But a specific running build. And the problem with a lot of like challengey type runs is I need to make sure that I could get decently far. So the idea behind the dash build would be blazing dash plus the like icy path or whatever, plus like one or two others. And essentially anybody behind me would just take damage because they have to follow me around, which is cool. But for now, I'm kind of trying to clear intermediate. So I'll probably go back to regular for those. Spirit Sorcerer. Yeah, the problem is, of all of the spells we currently have available, we really don't have much. So I want to quickly check Shock. Discovered. Oh, right. It doesn't need to be creatable. It's all spells. Discovered. Shock. Light. White Lightning. Shock, Light, Fire. Okay, so I could have actually made that. And if I can get another Shock rune, I will make it. Because as much as I would like to not use Shocks and discover new things, I would very much like to have a solid frontal type attack spell. And I currently don't have one. I think I just pelted that off into the distance. Oh well, I'll deal with it. It's a cool spell, and I'm interested to see what I can do with it. But at the same time, right now, again, I need clearing potential more than anything. Because we got the flame people, we've got knights, we got all sorts of things. Really, we just don't have the damage to... okay, I think that guy boosted up his stats. So, looking at it now, it's got some interesting effects. The duration's about 10 seconds. And I'm trying to... Oh, wow, that does actually make quite the difference. Okay, so we can do Battle Hardened, which is good. It reduces the effects of Rune Wars. Gravity Collapse or Holy Crusader. I'm going to go with Holy Crusader. I like the idea of Battle Hardened, but the thing is, Holy Crusader is so useful against such a wide variety of enemies. Is that a... No, that's not a Dark Rune. That's just a random piece of slag. Okay, so Holy Crusader is just amazingly useful because there are a lot of demons and whatnot in this entire thing. Okay, I'm gonna try and bait out the bird. Haha, I didn't kill it. I was hoping I'd be able to kill it with a crazy nuke, but guess not. Okay, I'm gonna keep mobile here just because as much as I'd like to nuke somebody with a pretty hard buff spell, I would very much like to not take damage. Ah, nuts. Missed that one. Well, let's see if I can take out the bandit. Yeah, I did. Take a little bit of damage here, but we've got more than enough hearts to make up for it. So, let's grab that one. And I'm hoping along the way here that I'm going to be able to... missed him completely. Interestingly enough, I think... Okay, so there's actually a system in this game called spell queuing, where you can actually queue up your spells. There we go. We have debuffed the rats. They're no longer nearly as threatening. Freaking bandits. Stealing my shit. So, we have a lot of fire. We have a lot of air. We have 4 of each. It's kind of nuts, and unfortunately we're not going to get any more triple combiners for a while. So I'm probably going to have to figure out a way to combine them in interesting ways. And currently I don't have any spells I want to buff either. Because, what's the double mind rune one do? It does actually boost its damage, so if I could boost up the mind one. I have half a mind to just use it this entire run. Because it is actually a very solid spell, because it's, I mean, technically it's only 4 damage per hit, but it's 4 damage on both sides with strike through, which is better than a lot of spells. I guess the other thing that we could do would be double lightning, but again, not exactly my... There we go. Oh, buffs. Yep, yep. Ow. Ow, I am surrounded. That was terrible. I was trying to get the buff things, but he picked them all up. I guess the idea of the spell is cool, but the execution is ultimately problematic purely based on there's usually too many enemies for me to be able to deal with it. Shoot, it's just nothing but burrower scouts. They don't even come to attack you, they just cast Sandstorm on you and then go underground and then cast it in again. Okay, we're actually getting pretty injured here. I have nothing but fire, air, speed. Wow, I've got a lot of doubles. Okay, creatable spells. What do I got with fire that I can make? Has to be discovered. So there's flow. It's interesting. I used it before, and I could potentially get it so it's duration and stuff. There's assurance, which... Oh. Well, we were discussing this earlier. Oh, I am tempted. Because the thing about assurance... Okay, you know what? Fire, water, speed. We were discussing this, and here's the question about assurance. does it make it so that your spells will actually go across the screen. Fortunately, I'm going to have to aim myself this direction. Okay. Nope. No, wait. Yeah. I'm waiting for the effect to go off. Wait, what? My shots weren't even going. They weren't going anywhere. Weird. So, as far as I can tell, Fizzle has nothing to do with how far the spells go. Which begs the question, what the heck does Fizzle do? Because if it made all of your stuff... If Fizzle had anything to do with like, the distance that the spells would go, then my Chaos Bolts would have been flying across the screen. Interestingly enough, my Mind Bolts were just not there. They disappeared. They weren't on the screen anymore. Which begs some interesting questions. And I have no idea how to handle that. So it's a good buff. Right? Right. Because it's got a decent buff still to bullet speed and bullet duration. Yeah, see, bullet duration makes it go longer, but it's only a 10% boost. And you can't actually increase the bullet duration anymore. Still no idea what Fizzle does, though. So, it's an interesting spell, but ultimately it's not going to be that great. So, let's just do it. Go after the hunter. Unfortunately, yep, the same problems that I was discussing earlier are true. And I pretty much have to rely on the fact that I can kind of aim my mind spells to take him out. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to fail this within a couple of seconds, because I need to keep his ass off of the other ones, and we pretty much can't lose another wisp. And he's going to go with this one. Well, at the very least, we got that. Come on, Wisp. Ow, shit. I'm going to put myself in the way. Come on, Wisp. Get out. Well, we're not... Here's the problem. That Wisp decided to corner itself, and apart from just continually body blocking it, there's not much I could have done there. I guess that's my problem with that event and the one where you've got the rifts to close, because they do move away barely, but in the end, me trying to position myself in the corner, A, especially with my limited firepower, pretty much eliminates my ability to save the Wisp, and B, you know, can actually push the Wisp back into the corner again, which is very frustrating. Okay, so this is kind of a mediocre situation. But, one option is, I could actually go with fire levels. I've got a lot of fire runes. Or I could go with I'm going to go with fire levels. Whatever I make, it's going to involve a lot of fire runes, so this makes the most amount of sense. Anyway, we're going on to floor 3. So, whatever we're doing, it's working. And I think the easiest thing to say is, I'm not doing anything stupid. The last run was dumb. Just inherently dumb. And I'm not actually talking about, like, the like, you know, broken and hilarious. And it was broken and hilarious, but it was one of those where my playstyle devolved rapidly into just, look at me cheat. And as much as, you know, cheating is abusable, I find whenever I have the ability to cheat hard, I actually just end up doing stupid shit instead because, I don't know, I stop taking things seriously. I guess one of my problems is I stop taking things seriously in video games the moment I have some level of game break, which is nice, but it also does end up sinking runs in various ways. So anyway, I think we are playing on a higher difficulty. God, I hope so. It'd be hilarious if this is accidentally wimpy and I've just been whomping my way through believing that I'm getting better at this game. That'd be great. I hope not, though. Anyway, I'm gonna keep away from the wibbly woos. I got hit by the wibbly woos anyway. Oh, that's a frozen knight. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That was really bad. I charged straight back through them. That was a poor choice. Ow. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go back for that health already. So we can go with Iron Skin, Banshee Whale, Damage Control, Great Wisdom. None of them are particularly good. I'm going to take the really dumb route and go with Iron Skin for once. I've always been curious what it does, and honestly, it seems like a terrible idea to do that in conjunction with an intermediate run, but I'm still curious. Because also it's one of those where if I can get a huge amount of damage reduction, like if I can get a bunch of defense stuff, that'll also help. Even though, ultimately, might not be a good idea, especially against the Shrine of Destiny. I guess I'm just curious, and I'm willing to sabotage myself slightly in favor of science. Here. Uh-oh. We got a Necromancer. And the problem is, I don't know what the stun duration is. I also need to hurt this guy. We're running into some serious issues here, and it's one of those where it's like, I could potentially lose this purely because the Shrine of Destiny himself is not an easy enemy to fight. Luckily, we do have a large amount of knockback, or not knockback, strike through. So even though, oh, no, I didn't kill it. It's just every time he does that, he kills all of his dudes. I'm actually just gonna pile my face into this. Oh, this is a terrible idea. I think I was stunned there too. Yeah, we might actually die on this. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to take a mulligan. This could actually be a 4-part episode where I try again. It's rare for me to do that. I guess what I could quickly do... Runedex. Because part of the problem is we don't have any good spells. Let's fix that. What do we got? So I could do Flamethrower, tempting. Dark Rift, Shadowgate, Flicker, Buster Bang, Spirit Sorcerer, Expulsion, Dark Front, Meditate, Flow. What's Flow do? Oh, right. Mega Pressure, Dark Scythe. Oh, right, I can't do Dark Wind either. Unfortunately, one of the problems that I run into is... Huh. Interesting. It's not a bad spell. Dark Calling. The one potential problem with Dark Calling is it could be direct target. Whatever, I'm going to try it. Dark Calling. Speed, Dark, Light, Dark Calling. See what it does. And I'm going to get rid of Chaos Bolt for this, or at least lock it away. Next up, Runedex. Because what we need is a large amount of damage right now. And unfortunately, again, a lot of the stuff that I have is not very good. Yes, I could probably go for some doubles, but half of them are kind of less useful. I don't want to do Shadowgate, that's a terrible idea. Buster Bang is tempting, just because I've got all the fire levels. Expulsion. Knocks back enemies, it's not bad. Dark Front. Oh, hey. There's Dark Front. I'm gonna go with Dark Front. Air, Dark, Dark. Create. I'm gonna put this on the back burner. I'm just gonna get rid of Assurance, it's not good enough. Okay, so this one, speed, number of clouds. Well, let's boost up the number of clouds. Because right now, I know I'd like to keep a lot of these in, you know, storage to use. Let's reduce its cooldown a little bit. But at the same time, I would like to live. I'm actually going to keep Assurance just in case. It's actually useful. I don't know. Let's pick up these stat things and get over here. So, unfortunately, we've got also a lot of Shrines of Power, which does present some interesting issues. Okay, so it looks... Oh, that's actually a really solid spell. It's really long. Oh, I found a fun spell to use. Okay, so it's got some really fascinating applications. Oh, let's use our nice ultimate E-type thing. And unfortunately, oh, I have been stunned. But he's almost dead. Or at least he's dying. There we go, he's dead. So, we've got an interesting distraction type ability. I'm actually going to have to use that more often. It doesn't seem to have a very short range. Let's see how far it goes. It goes across the... Oh, man. That's like Striker++ as far as I can tell. Because, let me look at this for a second. Okay, you can't boost the damage. You can increase the duration, which must be its range. No? What? Weird. But whatever. It's a solid spell. And we're very hurt. Okay. But we're not dead yet. So, I'm gonna call that a win. That's a lot of golems. Don't get hit by them, Wander. Bad things will happen to you if they do. Let's... Clouds. Unfortunately, they left all this mud behind. That's a lot of mud. And I don't have as much group clearing potential, but I do have long range potential, which is nice. And I actually really like the displacement ability of our primary spell here. Okay, so we know where the boss is, but that seems like a bad idea. Oh, interesting. It doesn't bust up destructibles, though. No, it does not. Well, that's kind of a bad thing. It's It's not the end of the world, but it does mean I can't rely on it as a basic attack type spell. Okay, let's just keep going through and pray that we don't run into like a Fireborn Voidling or something, but I think the Shrine of Destiny counts. This might end up being a multi-part run, if only because I'm being forced to travel through some of those damage zones, purely because, yep, it's going to be a multi-part run. But we didn't die with any combiners. I used whatever runes I could, and we know a good spell to use on the next one, or at least if I can find it. So, Adventure, Intimidating, Elf? Okay, so first and foremost, we're not going to be the Duelist. He's fun, but he's not that great. I'm going to go with Bard again in Chaos Bolt. And I guess I'll see you guys on the next part where we try again. Because, honestly, I like trying to put out multiple parts a day, and dying before even running into the first boss is pretty bad. A lot of it is my fault for poor decision making and not having the right spells. So, I'll see you guys in a bit for part 2. Or 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know, whatever. We'll figure it out.